So we cannot talk on Erev Rosh Chodesh Av and not speak a bit about 3 weeks, the 9 days, Churban Beis HaMikdash. Tzom HaRavi'i v'Tzom HaChamishit, Tzom HaShvi v'Tzom HaAsiri yiyu leBeis Yehuda leSosoin uleSimcha uleMoyadim Tovim v'hu emes v'Sholom ahevu. And many ask, what's the kesher between the Reisha of the Posuk and the Sefer? The Reisha of the Posuk is an expression of hope, a bracha, a promise, and a prophecy that these tragic days of mourning will ultimately be transformed into days of joy. L'sasoin u'lesimcha u'lemoyadim tovim. What kesher does it have with the Sefer v'hu emes v'sholem ahevu? The Rambam writes, Perek Hey, Hilchos Taniyos. Yesh yomim shekol Yisrael mis'anim behem mepnei atzarot she'ir'u la'avotenu. There are days in which all the Jewish people fast because of tragedy that befell our forefathers. Kedei la'orer halavovois v'leftoach b'darkei hatshuva. So the Rambam clearly says, why do we fast on these 4 tragic days? First and foremost, Tisha B'Av. Shavuos HaBetamas Asor HaBetevis Tzoim Gedaliyahu. La'orer halavovois v'leftoach b'darkei hatshuva. It's not only about mourning, it's about tshuva. Because whenever tragedy strikes, whether it is the individual, the community, the entire people, like Churban Beis HaMikdash, it's not only about mourning, it is about tshuva. And we need to understand and believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was calling out to us. The Rambam has a fascinating interpretation in the very first halacha in Hilchos Taniyos. Im telchu imi bekeri, af ani elech imochem bechamat keri. Rashi explains keri as richuk, tuma. The Rambam says it's meloshin mikra, coincidence. We always have the tendency, and it's a natural tendency, when something awful happens, we want to understand, why did it happen? How did it happen? So when 45 Jews were killed in Miran, what a horrific tragedy. Yes, it is only natural to analyze what happened, try to prevent it in the future. So the passage was a very small one, and people panicked. And when in Karlin, some young people were killed, well, obviously those tribunals weren't built as they should have been. And on Surfside, a 12-story house just imploded. Well, as for now, we don't know exactly what happened, but probably corrosion. So there always is an explanation. But we as Jews need to believe it's a Kodesh Baruch Hu calling out to us. The Maharal explains, the Gemara says, Lama loiken ha'ma'oros. Why are the sun and moon sometimes eclipsed? Shoichad, Nara Hamurasa. But astronomers know hundreds of years in advance exactly this is astronomical phenomenon. The Maharal explains, Chazal never deal with a direct sibah. It is always sibata sibot. Yes, so the house imploded in Surfside. Why this house and not some others? And why did it need to happen in the middle of the night when everybody was at home and hundreds of people died, and not when nobody was there? So everything that happens in this world happens for natural reasons. It is very rare that a Kodesh Baruch Hu performs supernatural miracles. But on the other hand, everything is Ashgocha Protis. So the Maral explains, Lama loiken ha'ma'oris, not right here and now. But a Kodesh Baruch Hu could have planned a different astronomical system in which there would be no likui ha'ma'oris. Everything is from a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Sometimes we forget, but it is only once a day that we define the Kodesh Baruch Hu as Noisein HaTorah. It is 100 times a day that we define a Kodesh Baruch Hu as Melech Ha'olam. He is King of the universe. And he is the one that planned out and put into place physics, biology, zoology, astrophysics, and thermodynamics, and medicine, and everything else. So Chazal ask why? Lama loiken ha'ma'oros. Chazal never deal with a direct reason why things happen. Or actually, Chazal don't deal with the question how, but why. Why did this need to be? And why did this need to happen? So whenever tragedy strikes, we need to believe it is not coincidence. And that's the Rambam's interpretation. And Telchu imi bikeri. Kodesh Baruch Hu calls out to us. And that is why in the 3 weeks, when we remember Chorb Mabayis, it is not only about mourning. We all feel that this past year has been different than all the others we've known. With the corona pandemic, tens of thousands of our brethren died. More than 6,000 in Israel. Millions of people in the entire world. And a month or two ago in Israel, we rejoiced and we almost danced in the streets. But now there are some worrisome signs. Numbers are ticking up again. And the tragedies I just mentioned. Jewish tragedies in Florida and Miran. So it is clear that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling out to us. More than 2,000 years ago, the last prophets walked the face of earth. We don't have Nevi'im, and nobody could say exactly what is it that we need to do. But we all know, like the Rambam teaches us, we all need to do something, and we all need to do better. And each and every one of us knows where he could do better, and what it is it that he needs to fix. But I do have a feeling that when tragedy strikes the individual, Kodesh Baruch Hu is calling out to him. But when tragedy strikes communities, Kodesh Baruch Hu is calling out to us. And probably there is something in our communal life that needs to be fixed, not only as individuals, but as communities as well. So these are days in which we all need to be engaged in introspection and in hisbonenus and trying to be better. La'orer halavavos v'leftoach b'darkei hatshuva. Everybody's familiar with the Ma'amar Chazal. Kol dor shelo nivna beis hamikdash b'yamav ke'ilu. No, that is nowhere in Chazal. Nowhere in Chazal do they say Kilu Charav B'Yamav. The Lashon of Chazal is far more troublesome and harsh. Kol dor shelo niftach beis hamikdash b'yamav malan olav ke'ilu hu hechrivo. And that's Yerushalmi in Tanis. There's a big difference. When we say Kilu Charav B'Yamav, it happened during our time, transpired. Moshe David mother leaves the house just for 15 minutes and she tells the kids, be careful, I don't want to find a balagan, I'm just going down to get some milk. Comes home 15 minutes later, the big window in the living room is shattered, bottle of water from the table, there's 1,000 pieces of broken glass on the floor, mabul. And she asks, what happened? And the kids all in chorus say, the window broke and the bottle fell. And the mother says, Windows just don't decide to break, and bottles don't jump off tables. Somebody did it, and I want to know who. When we say Ke'ilu Chorav B'Yamav, it sounds like it happened. Kadosh Baruch Hu says it didn't just happen. Someone did it. And who is that? That is you and me and all of us. Malan Olav Kilu Hu Hechrivo. So it goes without saying. You need to fix what you broke. And you need to rectify what caused Churban Beis HaMikdash. So the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed for Bittul Torah. That's a Gemara in Adon Peyalaf. Alozva Misterosi Yisholei Baruch Hu B'Torah Tchila. Second Beis HaMikdash Sinas Chinam. That's a Gemara in Yom Tes. So the Navi says, Tzayim HaRavi v'Tzayim HaChamishi, Tzayim HaShvi v'Tzayim HaSiri. Yihu leBeis Yehuda l'Sosan l'Simcha l'Moedim Tovim. And you're going to ask me when. I can't say when. I could say how. And it is up to you when. V'hu emes v'asholim ahev. When you will have emes, and the Torah is Torah's emes. When you will prove that you love Torah, and you will fix Churban Bayis Rishon. V'asholim ahev. No more sinas chinam. Ahavas chinam. Then and only then will you be zoicha. Tzayim HaRavi v'Tzayim HaChamishi, Tzayim HaShvi v'Tzayim HaSiri, Yihu leBeis Yehuda l'Sosan l'Simcha l'Moedim Tovim. I wish you all a happy Tisha B'Av.